Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hopefully, everyone's having a glorious Monday. I certainly am. But we're going to be talking about some Trump news. I got at least two stories. Looks like I got one story. Um, let's see here. Can I? Looks like I just got one story because there's no way I'm paying for that story. Going to let's go ahead and hide you. The Denver Post Politics main arguments in the 14th Amendment case against Donald Trump wraps up with likely decision, likely weeks away. Lawyer duel whether the January 6th was an insurrection and if Trump was tied to it. You have one Democratic, I think, House of Representative that says Donald Trump doesn't need to be convicted to be removed from the ballot. But when it comes to kicking people out of the House, you need a conviction. So you're trying to have it both ways. It makes no sense to me. The trial examining whether former President Donald Trump is qualified for the Colorado 2024 ballot has ended, sort of. Primary arguments wrapped up on Friday afternoon, with each side spent the week tallying out the dueling experts, congressman and witness, to storm the Capitol, or the U.S. Capitol, at the issue. Did January 6, 2021 attack rise to a level of insurrection? If it did, there's going to be a lot of people being arrested for insurrection. And was Trump culpable enough that he disqualified from the ballot under the 14th Amendment? You know, Congress has ruled on this very topic. The House, even though it's political, impeached him. It went to the Senate. They got 57 votes, which I think the threshold was 60 votes. Our own Congress has weighed on this. They failed to convict Donald Trump, whether for political reasons, legal reasons, or not to set precedents. They ruled on this. This lawsuit should have been thrown out because it has no merit. But of course, you know, apparently this judge doesn't really care about that. Denver District Court Judge Sarah B. Wallace answered to that question. It's still likely weeks away. Weeks away. The judge has scheduled a formal closing remark November the 15th, with her decision to come after that. With such high stakes, the case may work its way to the Colorado and the Supreme Courts. The week-long hearing was nonetheless the first of its kind through parallel, well-backed efforts to underway elsewhere. The Colorado lawsuit was brought by a group unaffiliated and Republican voters in the states, backed by the liberal watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. State law allows voters to challenge candidates' qualifications, making Colorado a viable proving ground for a question with national implications. Well, you know, if people don't want him, they don't have to vote for Trump. While the lawsuit aims to keep Trump off of Colorado's 2024 ballot, the trial pitted the former president lawyers against the plaintiff. The lawsuit seeks to compel Secretary of State Gina Griswold, a Democrat, from listing Republican frontrunner. Griswold, even though she is adamant in her opposition and conviction that Trump engaged in an insurrection on January 6th, has taken a hands-off approach to the case and said she's waiting for the judge direction, because she's actually playing it smart. I mean, she really is, because she said she's taking the decision out of her decision. If the court rules that he has to be removed, that his actions warrants insurrection, her hands are tied, and the court says that she can move forward. Now, if the judge says that he can't be removed, she could be like, my stance is that he's disqualified, but yet the court's ruled I can't remove him. It's kind of a weak position, but a smart position, if that makes sense. The plaintiff calls a witness that include police officers who fought backed the mob on January 6th, and an expert in right-wing extremists who testified Trump calls the fight were taken literally and that he didn't meaningfully try to stop the attack. Law professor William C. Banks, who studies presidential powers and national security, know that Trump could have deployed the National Guard to dispel the riot, and he did during Black Lives Matter protests in the summer of 2020, although he called them up, but governors didn't want them. He knew the mob was dangerous. What indications says that the mob was dangerous? Plaintiff attorney Eric Olson said in opening remarks, he told that mob to go to the Capitol with him once they were there. Not sufficiently violent, but he incited them with further tweets. But he was kicked off of Twitter and banned, so Trump's legal team, meanwhile, pointed out statements in which the president called for peace and pointed out to widespread use words like fight in politics. They called Trump supporters to testify. They read Trump's comments as peaceful and metaphors for political pressure around the election. One Colorado Republican Party treasurer, Tom Bjorklund, testified that his personal capacity that was present for January 6th rally did not enter the Capitol when it turned into a riot. He pushed the unfounded conspiracy theory that the attackers may have been Trump opponents who sought to disrupt the legal challenge in the 2020 election. Two sides of the debate over the U.S. House January 6th Select Committee were plaintiffs seek to cite pieces of evidence while Trump's team sought to cast as a political and bias, which was political and bias. You have the establishment trying to remove him from the president and to make him disqualified for any new office. I think if they found him guilty in the Senate, that they would have voted to make him disqualified. Let's see here. None of the president's speech ever called for violence. None of it was ever... His campaign has regularly said this effort and similar challenges in other states constitute to election interference, which I do agree. They shouldn't have waited until primary season. They should have done this on day one. I mean, I get that they're waiting, seeing if he would run, but if it was such... This is the other issue I have with these cases. They wait until the very last minute to come up with these challenges. As soon as he left in 2021, he should have had these cases against him, but he didn't. Let's see here. None of the president's speech ever called for blah, blah, blah. On Friday, Timothy Healy, the lead staff investigator for the House committee, challenged his characterization of, on the stand, Donald Trump said, "You have to fight like hell or you won't have a country anymore." That was something that was stated at the Ellipse rally that did instigate violence. You know, you have certain members of Congress says you need to get into the GOP's face and make their life living hell. You have Obama saying that you got to shout it to their face if they're not willing to listen. Tell them that they're wrong to their face every chance. I'm paraphrasing. Isn't that incitement? Isn't that a call to action? While the parties debate the events on the day and their causes, Judge Wallace is also being asked to consider more abstract pieces of the amendment, including when it applies and even if it's enforceable without congressional actions or other factors. She regularly accepted evidence under stipulation that doesn't mean that she was taking it at face value. One expert in the constitutional law, called by Trump's legal team, retired professional Robert Delahanty, testified that Congress needs to take further actions to make the amendment enforceable. For Wallace's part, she declined to be boxed in from interpreting the Constitution, historically the key realm of the courts. In general, I think that's exactly the job of the court, to interpret the Constitution. Wallace said, "I'd love to hear from you why, in this instance, we need to say it's too hard. As in Congress, tell me what it means." This case is one of several legal issues facing Trump leading up to the 2024 election. Trump faces several criminal cases related to the 2020 election, as well as a civil fraud case in New York State that is ongoing, amongst others. So it will be some time before we'll even know. Maybe next week? Next week? Yeah, maybe next week on Wednesday. We might know. Hopefully we'll know whether or not Colorado thinks that he could be removed from the ballot. Now, I do think that this should be up to the voters. I do think that he should be on the ballot. If people don't want him, they won't vote for him. I don't think that's too much to ask for, right? I mean, I don't think it's too much to ask for. Do you think it's too much to ask for? For the voters to decide? With that being said, that is my video for today. Leave a comment down below on what your thoughts are. But most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.